Greetings, and welcome to the Well-Read Monocle. Today we turn our attention to one of the most ambitious and complex entries in the canon of modern fantasy. Gardens of the Moon, the debut novel of Steven Erikson's Malazan Book of the Fallen. This narrative does not hold the reader's hand. It drops us directly into a war-torn continent where history spans hundreds of thousands of years, where gods walk among mortals, and where magic, accessed through dimensional realms known as warrens, can level entire cities. It is a story of military campaigns, political intrigue, and the devastating consequences of power. For those who wish to understand the intricate web of the Malazan Empire without wading through the dense prose themselves, or for those seeking a refresher on this colossal tome, you have arrived at the proper place. Let us begin our dissection of Gardens of the Moon. Part 1. The Pale Campaign. Our history commences in the 1154th year of Byrne's sleep at Mock's Hold in the capital city of the Malazan Empire. We witness a young noble boy, Ganos Paran, who desires to be a soldier. He is warned against this path by a commander of the Emperor's elite force, the Bridgeburners, a man named Whiskeyjack. We learn here that the Emperor and his right hand, Dancer, have been assassinated, usurped by the former head of the assassins, a woman named Surly, who has now taken the throne as Empress Lacine. The narrative jumps forward 7 years to the continent of Genabakis. The Malazan Empire, hungry for conquest, has laid siege to the free city of Pale for 3 long years. The city is defended by a formidable alliance: the Crimson Guard mercenaries, northern tribal warriors, and most significantly, the Tiste Andii, an ancient, long-lived race led by the formidable Anomander Rake. Rake commands a floating fortress made of black basalt known as Moon's Spawn, which hovers ominously above the city. The siege ends in a catastrophic display of sorcery. The Empire's High Mage, Taishren, unleashes a magical assault against Moon's Spawn. Anomander Rake retaliates with dark elder magic. However, in the chaos, it appears Taishren may have deliberately targeted his own side. He decimates the Malazan mage cadre, leaving only a sorceress named Tatassail alive. Furthermore, the elite Bridgeburners, now led by Sergeant Whiskeyjack, are nearly wiped out when the tunnels they are digging beneath the city collapse during the magical bombardment. Pale falls to the Empire, but at a terrible cost. Moon's Spawn retreats southward toward the last remaining free city, Darujhistan. Part 2. Conspiracy and the Girl Named Sorry. Amidst the fallout of Pale, we must rewind slightly to a seemingly isolated incident at Itko Khan. 2 years prior to the siege of Pale, a squad of soldiers is massacred by the Hounds of Shadow, monstrous beasts in service to the god of Shadow, Shadowthrone. The only witness is a fisher girl. She is possessed by Shadowthrone's companion, the Rope, also known as the patron of assassins. This girl, stripped of her memory and identity, is enlisted into the Malazan army under the name Sorry. Sorry joins the Bridgeburners. She is a cold, terrifyingly efficient killer, and her presence unsettles the squad, particularly the wizard Quick Ben and the assassin Kalam. Following the taking of Pale, Ganos Paran, now a captain, is assigned by the Empress's adjunct, a woman named Lorne, to take command of the Bridgeburners. His secret mission is to investigate the slaughter at Itko Khan and determine if the recruit, Sorry, is responsible. However, tensions rise immediately. The Bridgeburners suspect that High Mage Taishren and the Empress intend to eliminate them, viewing the old guard soldiers as a threat to Lacine's rule. To protect themselves, Quick Ben and Kalam preserve the life of a dying mage named Hairlock by transferring his soul into a wooden marionette. This puppet, Hairlock, becomes an insane but useful spy, traveling through the chaotic warrens to gather intelligence on Taishren. Part 3. Darujhistan and the Coin-Bearer. The narrative focus shifts south to the glittering city of Darujhistan, the Empire's next target. Here, the tone changes from military grit to political intrigue and street-level capers. We are introduced to a circle of regulars at the Phoenix Inn. There is Krupa, a rotund, loquacious man who feigns foolishness, but is secretly a master spy known as the Eel. There is Crocus Younghand, a young, naive thief. There is Rake, a member of the Assassin's Guild. And there are Murillo and Kol, disgraced nobles seeking restoration. The city is a powder keg. The ruling council is debating whether to remain neutral or fight the encroaching Malazan Empire. However, a shadow war has erupted on the rooftops. The Assassin's Guild is being systematically hunted by Tiste Andii assassins sent by Anomander Rake, who has brought Moon's spawn to hover over the city to offer an alliance against the Malazans. Into this mix enters the influence of Opon, the twin jesters of chance. Opon manifests through a spinning coin, which falls into the hands of the young thief, Crocus. This marks Crocus as the coin-bearer, a pawn in a divine game, granting him unnatural luck, but placing him in the crosshairs of ascendants and gods. Part 4. The convergence begins. Back near Pale, the sorceress Tattersail uncovers the depth of Tayshren's betrayal. She attempts to read the deck of dragons, a tarot-like method of divination, and realizes that a massive convergence of power is imminent. Tattersail flees the Malazan camp, but is pursued by Belodan, a high mage sent by Tayshren. In a desperate confrontation on the Rivi plain, both Tattersail and Belodan are killed. However, through an ancient ritual involving a Rivi spirit walker, Tattersail's soul is not lost. It is shifted into the body of a Nightchill, another mage who had died at Pale, and then birthed anew as a child within the Rivi tribe. This child, Silverfox, grows at an accelerated rate and possesses the souls of multiple sorcerers. Meanwhile, Adjunct Lorne arrives on the plains. She is accompanied by Onos Tulan, or Tool, a Telan Amas. The Telan Amas are an ancient undead race of warriors who vowed an eternal war against the Jaghut thousands of years ago. Lorne's mission is terrifyingly simple. She intends to locate a Jaghut tyrant named Rake, who has been imprisoned in a barrow for millennia, and release him. The Empire hopes that this tyrant will attack Anomander Rake, weakening the Son of Darkness enough for the Malazans to finish him off. Part 5. The War in the Streets. The Bridgeburners are sent to Darujhistan, ostensibly to pave the way for the Malazan invasion. They infiltrate the city disguised as road crews, planting Moranth munitions, highly volatile explosives, at key intersections. Their plan is to blow up the city's gas lines, causing chaos to aid the conquest. However, Whiskeyjack and his squad have their own agenda. They wish to survive the Empire's purge. Captain Parran, who was nearly killed by the puppet Hairlock and then saved by the intervention of Opon, arrives in the city. He reunites with the squad. The wizard Quick Ben and the assassin Kalam successfully determine that the recruit, Sorry, is indeed possessed by the rope. In a high-stakes negotiation, Shadow Throne agrees to withdraw the rope from the girl's body to save his hounds from Anomander Rake, who has entered the fray. Sorry is freed, returning to her original persona, a fisher girl named Apsalar, though she retains the deadly muscle memory of the assassin god. Part 6. The Fate and the Jaghut Tyrant. The climax of the novel centers around a grand fete hosted by Lady Simtal in Darujhistan. All the major players converge here. In the hills outside the city, Adjunct Lorne and Tool succeed in freeing the Jaghut tyrant, Rake. Rake immediately seeks to enslave the world, but he is bereft of his finnest, the repository of his power, which Lorne has stolen and carried into the city to lure him there. Rake engages in a titanic battle on the Gadrobi Hills against Silana, Anomander Rake's red dragon, and a flight of Tiste Andii solely taken, shapeshifters who can turn into dragons. Although Rake is battered, he possesses the power to possess others. He abandons his broken body and takes possession of Mammoth, the uncle of the thief Crocus, who is attending the fete. At the party, chaos ensues. The possessed Mammoth unleashes wild sorcery. The Bridgeburners, present at the party as hired guards, attempt to contain him. The sabotage plan is abandoned. Instead, Hedge and Fiddler use their munitions to blast the possessed Mammoth. Simultaneously, an assassin war breaks out within the estate. Rake utilizes a magical dulling dust to get close to the Guildmaster of Assassins, Vorkan, and incapacitates her, effectively ending the internal war and saving his friends. Part 7. The Azath and the Finale. The threat of the Jaghut tyrant is ended not by weapons, but by the earth itself. In the gardens of the estate, an Azath house begins to grow rapidly. The Azath are mysterious, ancient entities that exist to imprison unchecked power. The house manifests, roots erupting from the ground, and drags the possessed mammoth and the tyrant within him into its eternal prison. Lorne, attempting to complete her mission, is hunted down in the streets. She is weary and disillusioned with the Empire. She is eventually cornered and killed by men and women of the Crimson Guard and local street thugs associated with the Phoenix Inn. Her death marks the failure of the Empire's covert attempt to take the city from within. Anomander Rake, seeing that the city has defended itself and that the tyrant is contained, withdraws Moon's spawn. He acknowledges that he has underestimated the humans of Darujhistan aftermath. The book concludes with a significant twist. High Fist Dujek One Arm, the commander of the Malazan armies on Genabakis, is ostensibly outlawed by the Empress for failing to take the city. Dujek and the Bridgeburners break away from the Empire. However, it is strongly implied that this outlawing is a ruse, a strategy concocted by Dujek and Lassine to allow Dujek to ally with his former enemies, Anomander Rake and Caladan Brood. Why? To fight a new emerging threat from the southeast, a religiously fanatical empire known as the Panian Domin. The Bridgeburners are fractured. Whiskeyjack and the main squad remain with Dujek. However, Kalam and Fiddler decide to escort the girl Apsala, formerly Sorry, back to her home in Itko Khan, accompanied by the thief Crocus, who has thrown his lot in with them. Gardens of the Moon is a story about the intersection of vast, indifferent powers and the struggles of the soldiers and civilians caught beneath them. It establishes the theme that power attracts power, a convergence which inevitably leads to conflict. We see the gods meddling in mortal affairs, only to find that mortals, through stubbornness, luck, and munitions, can bite back. Malazan Empire is shown not merely as an antagonist, but as a complex machine eating its own tail, forcing its best soldiers to become outlaws, to do what is right. This concludes our examination of Gardens of the Moon. We hope this summary has illuminated the dark corners of Erikson's vast world. Thank you for joining the Well-Read Monocle.